before we move on, we're going to talk about every game coming up this week. We appreciate you guys coming back and talking sports with us here. Let's talk about the first game of the week if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready to poop on your Titans.
Well, that's the first game. Titans at Browns, week 1, Drew. Go ahead.
Boom.
Go ahead and sell it. And again, before anyone gets upset and says, why is this can on top of the other? The home team is on the bottom. The away team is on the top. We're going left to right if you want to keep track and see where your team is in our conversation here.
And that's how we set them up. We leave out games like the or the primetime games because we do talk about them on Sunday. So definitely catch us between the afternoon games and late game on Sunday. You'll see your team's can out there. These cans will be gone. You'll get excited and
you almost get your own episode.
You almost do get your own episode. Talking about this game, there's so many questions in this game, and I was kidding about pooping on your Titans, even though I really do want to poop on them.
Feel free. Don't hold back. Not on my account.
But what I did want to laugh about, and the reason why I said that to begin with, is you said the Titans have pretty much the same defense coming back, minus the guys that retired.
Yeah, but the guys who didn't do anything last year.
They were part of your defense last year.
Yeah, and again, well, part of them, because they were both injured at one point. Rakpo struggled to get on the field at points. Same with Derek Morgan.
It's new pieces.
It is new pieces.
I'm just saying.
But when the pieces that are leaving didn't do anything anyway?
But they were on it.
Okay, all right, sure. I guess from that standpoint. Right. You know who was also on it? Harold Landry, who hopefully is going to see more action this year and see improvement from that position. Beyond that, the same defensive line is going to be there. You've got a couple different outside linebackers. You've got the same middle linebackers. You've got the same secondary now playing with each other for more than a year. I think the Titans are going to be more prepared defensively than a lot of teams are in week 1 because they all know each other. You all know what to expect out of everybody. Cohesion makes a lot of difference. If this game was week 6, and the Browns have had 5 weeks to put it together on offense, I'd probably pick the Browns. But week 1, I think this is the time to play a team with a rookie head coach, a young quarterback like Baker Mayfield with new weapons in Odell Beckham. I think this team is going to be interesting to watch. We're going to get to learn a lot about the Browns with how they start, but I'm not going to take the team that has all the changes. I'm going to take the team that stays cohesive.
All right, well, I'm gonna go into this and what I thought about. I think one of the biggest question marks with the Browns is Odell Beckham Jr. took no preseason snaps or team drills. That's huge. You got to think about that. That means Baker Mayfield is throwing to his number 1 target without any kind of chemistry. This is not throwing the ball back and forth where he's standing there getting the ball and he runs route by himself. We're talking about any kind of coverage, any kind of decision-making that Odell Beckham Jr. makes on the field. There is no time like that together between Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. That is huge. I think that is going to be shown. And when you face a defense like the Titans, you got a little bit of a question mark when it comes to that, of how well that's going to be. In my opinion, Jarvis Landry might be the better option in week 1, even against a tough defense between the two receivers. When Jake's sitting here saying that everything's staying the same for a team that has a lot of issues right now, one of the biggest ones that I have a problem is no Taylor Lewan. Left tackle is out. He's suspended. His replacement, Dennis Kelly, usually plays on the right-hand side.
Yes.
And he's going to have a really big issue because that's Myles Garrett's side.
Yes.
And he is going to be... He's going to be challenged
it's the
all
matchup
game
to
long.
Watch and
so it is a matchup to watch.
It's the matchup to watch. But
my
I also
point
think,
is, when you talk about a team that has a lot of the same pieces, there's a lot of question marks. Still,
I said defensively they have a lot of the same pieces.
I
didn't say offensively.
Okay,
but here's the thing.
They've
had changes in the offensive line for sure. And Steven makes his point, say, look at Oakland's offensive line last year in 2017. Literally 1 to 2 changes on the offensive line can make a big deal. Yes, I think the Titans have some question marks, but Dennis Kelly's also been a very, very solid backup tight end, or backup backup tackle, I should say. And when I say solid, I mean this guy should be a starter on a lot of these teams.
I'll give you that.
So bring in a guy like Dennis Kelly. It's not Taylor Lewan.
It's not.
But as far as replacements go, this is not just some average guy coming off the bench. I think Dennis Kelly is probably going to be more prepared to step into this. He played a lot last year when Jack Conklin struggled. We saw him on the field in a lot of 6 offensive lineman sets. He has played, and he's also played with a lot of these guys.
But you have to admit he plays on the right side, not the left.
No, I agree. And when I said things were going to stay cohesive, I'm talking about the Titans' defense. And again, the Titans' offense has not found its butt with both hands for the past few years. So that's going to be an issue. The question to me is, what does this defense look like for the Browns? Yes, Myles Garrett is a concern, but I think the Titans are going to try to run this one early and often.
Yeah.
And last year, they were like the 24th rated rush defense. I don't see the Browns as like a truly powerhouse in the running game. Question is going to be, can Derrick Henry take this game over? And I don't know what the answer is. There's games Derrick Henry looked great. He has some of the best top-end speed, and nobody knows this. He has, for as big as he has some of the best top-end speed when he gets into space out of any running back in the NFL. He's incredibly fast when he has the time to get his legs churning. The problem is, it takes him so long to get there. He might break off a couple runs that are the difference in this game. He might not. He might have like 20 rushes and 28 yards. I don't know how to bet on that. I really don't.
It looks like Nathan and Steven both have the Browns winning. Who do you have in this game?
I'm going to go Titans. Again, the Browns are the sexy pick, and maybe going forward, the Browns are going to be better off. But you also remember this is the first game Todd Haley's going to be as head coach for. We might see some clock management errors that can cost a team. We might see some timeout or some challenge errors with it. He might also have a struggle keeping everybody on the same page. I think when you look at the Browns team, this team in Week 4 is going to look a lot different than they do in Week 1. I think the Titans have a great time to play them. I would take the Titans almost any other, or I would take the Browns almost any other week over this Titans team. Right now, I'm going to go Titans.
David, I'm glad you're back. We don't know if it's your Wi-Fi or we're having technical difficulties, but you're glad you're back. I'm picking the Browns. I'm going to go against what we did in the show. We picked the Titans. I'm actually going to do the Browns. I'm going to believe in the hype, and I believe even with Odell Beckham Jr. not getting any of those snaps, that doesn't matter. I believe in Jarvis Landry. I believe in Nick Chubb and that backfield, and I believe in Baker Mayfield. And I think the Titans, even though they do have a great defense, that their offense has too much question marks. Their Browns defense is capable enough to stopping anything that the Titans offense are going to do. It's going to be a defensive struggle. I don't see a high-scoring game here, but I do see the Browns winning this game.
Dolphins. Ravens, even though they're on the road and with a young and inexperienced quarterback like Lamar Jackson, I don't think they're going to have to throw a whole lot. This defensive front for the Dolphins has taken some hits here lately. It's definitely the weakest part of this defense. If you had to pick a squad that's going to be any good, it's Xavier Howard and the rest of the secondary for the Dolphins. I think the Ravens are going to run all over them early and often, and then offensively look for a bloodbath for the Dolphins. They are going to be just outmatched by a Ravens defense that seems to be great year in and year out, week in and week out, doesn't matter.
Austin has the Browns winning as well at home. When I look at this Ravens and Dolphins game, there's a couple things that come to my mind. And the number one thing is Brian Flores is still saying Miami is playing to win. I don't know how you get rid of all your best players and sit there and say that. It's a little bit of a question mark to me. I obviously think they're saying that just to keep fans buying tickets to come to that game. I think they're throwing this season into the dumps, but I could be wrong. On the other side of the ball, on the Ravens side, I look at Lamar Jackson. I think all eyes are on this young man. He's got an offseason where he is now the starter. You got to remember, Joe Flacco took all first team's reps, as a starter 2 years or last year, and this is a time for this guy to flourish. I think he has a good opportunity to show what he's got, and that whole thing where he can't throw, his accuracy is terrible. I think this is a great Week 1 matchup for him to show it. As the show, pick the Ravens. I'm going to stick with the Ravens. What about you?
You got to go Ravens here, especially with what the Dolphins have done lately. I think they're giving up, and again, you have to say you're not giving up, but that's okay. I think with what they've built, this is going to be a Dolphins team that it's okay if they wind up with the first or second pick and go get a new quarterback. Or you get to find out that Josh Rosen lives up to his first-round potential from before, and then you get to go draft some great players at the top end of the round or top end of the draft anyway. I think the Dolphins lose this one. I'm kind of with Ian saying it's going to be he says 21-7. I think it's going to get worse than that. I think the Dolphins will score a little bit. They'll probably get like 14. But I think the Ravens are going to score 30 points here. It's bad as it's going to be. They're going to run all over this team. I'm with Nathan saying that Mark Ingram might have 150 yards rushing this week. And it's only because I play him in fantasy. This is just what has to happen.
Sam, good to see you, man.
Austin is also saying Ravens. So, again, everyone's all in with us. Let's talk about the next game, though. The Falcons and the Vikings. This one's in Minnesota. You were giving me a great stat since they built that new stadium up there. They haven't lost a home opener yet.
Since 2016, since they opened up U.S. Bank Stadium. They are 3-0. Mike Hughes is out at corner.
Right.
I think this is kind of a big loss for the Vikings because you know what the Falcons are going to do. They're going to throw the ball, but I do think the question mark on the Falcons side of the ball is Devontae Freeman ready to carry the full load. Tevin Coleman's gone. You got Ito Smith, which is not nearly as talented as Tevin Coleman is as his backup. Is Freeman ready to take the load fully in the Atlanta Falcons backfield?
I think potentially, yeah. I think this is a guy that is ready to be the lead back. I think he's one of those guys that has all the talent in the world. The question is, does he have the durability? We saw him get hurt last year, but that was really the first major injury Devontae Adams has had I think he's going to be the running back of the future for this Falcons team. Ito Smith will be a good enough replacement or a good enough spell back that he can go get his rest. And I'm going to go Falcons here too. I think they're going to be able to throw the ball all over the place. I think Freeman's going to receive a lot as well. I'm just not betting on the Vikings being back and ready to go yet. I think the Falcons defense will be ready to maul this fresh offensive line that now features Josh Klein at guard and has a ton of questions to answer themselves. I'm going to go Falcons in this one.
Yeah, the show picked the Vikings. We sat there and we looked at the home openers the last couple of years with the Vikings, and we sat there and said this defense and what they could do offensively with those receiving options. Stephon Diggs is a little banged up. We sat there and didn't know that when we picked this game to begin with. Now that's all said and done, we are both changing what we thought. We're going to pick the Falcons to win this game.
Absolutely. We took the Vikings in the offseason. We're both going Falcons here for this week. Nathan says Atlanta and Minnesota is a coin flip, and I think he's 100% right. This is one of those games that's going to be very close, but Ian's taking the Falcons by 4. I think this game is going to be very, very close. Austin says he thinks these teams are similarly talented, both probably in the wild card race. Absolutely. The question to me, though, is are the Vikings going to be able to pull it together? Because they had almost everybody last year, and things kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
The Falcons, it was because of injury.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of excusable. I think the Vikings have more to prove as a team, so I'm going to go Falcons here.
All right, next game, we got the Bills at the New York Jets. We said this game was not very fantasy friendly. We said to stay away from this game, but we think as a football game, this could be one of the best matchups without flashy team names in this lineup this first week.
Absolutely. Again, I think the Bills and the Jets are going to be very similarly matched. I'm going to go Jets. And the reason I'm going to go Jets is because they have Le'Veon Bell now. They have C.J. Mosley, both big free agents looking to prove something. The Bills have a great defense. I still believe this defense is going to be somewhere around top 7 in the league, but they've lost guys like Kyle Williams, who's been there forever. They're going to make it up.
And they replaced him with Ed Oliver. But, right, it's a rookie.
Exactly. It might take him a little bit of time to get rolling. The biggest question for me for Buffalo is all these changes on offense. I mean, new receivers coming in, new offensive linemen.
Let's be completely honest, and I'm not trying to steal your thunder,
Go ahead.
but both teams have remodeled their teams with major changes. I'll let you just talk about what the Bills have done. Go ahead.
Offensive line. They got like 4 new starters this year. They have new running backs. Getting rid of LaShawn McCoy, I think, was the final tipping point for me picking the Jets here. They have Devin Singletary. They have Frank Gore. They have guys that, even though you've seen Frank Gore do it in the past, you don't want to bet on a 36-year-old running back beating a team that now has C.J. Mosley that's going to lead this run defense, and now Quentin Williams as well on this defensive front. I think the Jets are going to be tough enough defensively to slow down this Buffalo Bills rushing attack, and when they do that and you're asking this team to try to beat you through the air with new receivers, it's just not going to happen. I'm going to go Jets here in an ugly dog fight. I think the Jets win this one I'm going to say 19-17. It's going to be gross. It's going to be one of those games where you take a lot of field goals.
Ivy's with you. She says the Jets should squeeze out a win with this, and you're right. Both these teams have taken major changes. When you look at the Bills' offense, only 3 starters are returning. You're looking at Josh Allen. You're looking at their left tackle Dawkins and their fullback DeMarco. That's it, returning offensively. I mean, that's huge changes. And then when you look at the Jets, literally that whole defense is rebuilt, minus their secondary. You bring in Le'Veon Bell, which is a huge piece. You bring in someone like Jameis Crowder to that receiving core, and then which covers all of it, is the head coach Adam Gase is there, which is a new change from Todd Bowles. Both these teams have gone through a lot of remodeling issues, but I'm with you. I'm with the show. I'm with Ivy. I believe the Jets can squeeze this one out, but it won't. I'm with you also. It won't be pretty.
Now, Austin's with us too, saying the Jets get the W here, and Nathan says Sam Darnold's going to light it up, so I assume he's all in on Jets as well. But Ian's kind of fading us a little bit. He says Bills 17-10. Is it the defense that gets it done for the Bills? I think so. If it's going to happen, I think Buffalo is going to need to keep this game incredibly close. The defense is going to have a great game, and they're capable of doing that. We know this defense is good.
Yeah.
I just don't see the firepower. I think they lose this first week to the Jets. Even though the Jets have changed stuff over, it's not quite as much as the Bills just throwing out last year's offense and saying, bring in a bunch of new guys.
All right. Next game is
Eagles.
Redskins at the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, this is almost a theme for me for almost every week one. This is Carson Wentz's team. There's no more Nick Foles sitting in that background, sitting there going, hey, I was the one that won that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's no longer there. It's time to show everyone what you got. And what you do is you come out of this game healthy. It's huge for Carson Wentz to go against a defense, in our opinion, that's stout. They're going to be getting after this guy, Montez Sweat, a rookie that the Redskins took. You're looking at Ryan Kerrigan, a proven veteran that can get after the quarterback. Carson Wentz going to have a lot of pressure on him.
Not to mention those big Bama boys in the middle.
Right.
Yep.
This guy's going to have a lot of pressure put on him. And then on the other side of the ball, Darius Geis has a very tough road ahead of him as the quote-unquote featured back of this Redskins offense, because we both have question marks offensively throwing the ball. They're going to rely on Geis heavily. Of course, Adrian Peterson, Thompson's all going to see the ball. But Geis is their featured back. He's got a tough road.
Now Ian's taking Philly in a blowout, 34-17, and Steven's saying the Eagles win this one easily, I should say. Steven also took the Bills last time. I want to say the Falcons are going to blow them out, but I think the defense in Washington keeps it close. I think Philadelphia's defense is going to have a field day, especially with no Trent Williams on this Washington offensive line. I think the Philadelphia's defense is going to make Case Keenum suffer. If someone else has to come in to play quarterback, they're going to have a bad day. And you're not going to be able to run against a defensive front this tough. I am kind of worried that Philadelphia's linebackers come up a little bit short, especially with Jordan Hicks moving on to Arizona. But the question is going to be, can this defensive front dominate this offensive line for the Redskins? I think if the Eagles win in the trenches like we think they can, this game's going to get lopsided. If it doesn't, I'm going to say it stays close, but the Eagles still probably win.
And my last little comment, just because there's rumors going on that Philadelphia reached out to the LA Chargers about trading Jordan Howard for
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. How much does Jordan Howard believe in this team and what they believe in him?
He shouldn't believe in any of it. I mean, the Eagles have played musical chairs at running back more than any other team in the league, I feel like. I get it. They think Jordan Howard is going to be the starting running back for this team and get the carries, but we said the same thing about Jay Ajayi, and he still played. It was Wendell Smallwood. It was a bunch of other guys that kind of came in and stole a lot of. Darren Sproles at like 99 years old, still making an impact for him. I think when you look at the Eagles,
stud, man.
They don't want anyone to be the feature back for their offense. I think Jordan Howard, even though he'll probably get the most carries, won't be a guy that just dominates it for Philadelphia like everyone's kind of expecting him to. Howdy, Rob. Good to see you, man. Austin's taking Philadelphia. Nathan saying Eagles by 17. I think Philly has to be the pick, right? We took Redskins first because we said Philly can't win every game in the offseason. But we're going to flip. We're going to say Philly walks away with the win in week 1.
We also thought the Redskins would have an answer at quarterback, and we feel like
we didn't think it'd be this bad.
We don't really think that they figured out that answer. I also flip-flopped and went to the Eagles, so we're going to go against what we thought during the show. Next game, LA Rams versus the Carolina Panthers. There's 2 question marks here that I have for both of these teams. First one is there a Super Bowl hangover for the Rams? I know a lot of teams have Super Bowl hangovers.
Yeah.
They get disappointed. It was a terrible Super Bowl. I think we can all agree with that one. It wasn't pretty. And then on the other side of the ball, how healthy is Cam Newton? Because he's got to be healthy if this team is going to be anywhere near competitive.
Absolutely. Now, Sam wants to know if we can put the Vikings can on top of the Falcons. Quick reminder, away team is on top, Sam. The home team is on the bottom, just so you know who's playing at home this week. And Rob says he has a good feeling about the Lions. We'll talk about them in just a minute. As for the Rams, look, Super Bowl hangover or not, with Cam Newton banged up like this, the Panthers don't have a lot going for them. Short of this defense pulling off a miracle and shutting down Sean McVay, who just got embarrassed in the Super Bowl and I think is going to have something to prove.
Right.
I really don't see this defense matching up well with them. I think this is Rams all the way. I'm going to go Rams early and often. My question is going to be, how much do we see Todd Gurley? Or do they get a lead and try to take it easy and we see Darrell Henderson or another backup come in to take away some of the workload that didn't really happen last year?
Sam, we appreciate your...
we can't pick the winners either.
We appreciate your thoughts, but no. Ian says the Rams claw this one out at 9-7. He's seeing another low-scoring game.
There wouldn't be any suspense if we put the winners on top. You could just look at it and be like, oh, they picked the Lions to win, so let's move on.
And then you start winning millions in Vegas, and then where's our money?
Because you're listening to us. Exactly. Perfect. I think it's going to be more than 9-7. I think even the Panthers' secondary is going to give up more than 9 points. I think the Rams are going to have something to prove after that 3-point kind of outing against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They're going to be out for blood. I think that's going to sit bad. I know it's really popular to say the Super Bowl hangover makes teams take a step back, and maybe defensively they do. Maybe Christian McCaffrey kind of chews his defense up a little bit, and we see a higher scoring game. But without Cam Newton, this offense is not ticking in Carolina. We've seen their backups be absolutely atrocious. He's kind of injured. Even if he's playing, he's not going to be 100%. got to go Rams here, and I got to go Rams pretty heavily.
I'm with Ivy. Rams should win. They have something to prove. We're gonna stick with our.
And Nathan's with us. He's saying 24-7. I think the Panthers get like 13. But I think 24-31 is a good pick for the Rams.
We're going to stick with our off-season pick with the Rams. We're going Rams across the board. All right, next game is the Kansas City Chiefs going to Jacksonville Jaguars. They did not get hit with any kind of crazy rain by Doran, the hurricane.
And they also ducked some crazy suspensions in the offseason. The Chiefs are... they must be sleeping on horseshoes, man. I'm telling you, the Chiefs have had a lot of luck going into this game. Tyreek Hill playing makes me say this is Chiefs easy. If he was out, I would pick the Jags to upset. And I even said this might be a worrisome game because Jacksonville, again, this is the game that threw their season off last year. This defense might come out with a bone to pick with the Chiefs. No Tyreek Hill, I'd pick the upset. With Tyreek Hill, I don't care if you have a bone to pick. I don't care if it's your Super Bowl. I'm going to say the Chiefs just have too much firepower for a team like the Jags to keep up with.
The matchup is definitely to watch is Jalen Ramsey shadowing Tyreek Hill. He did not do that last time. You know, all the smack talk saying he's just a punt returner or whatever. This is definitely going to be my matchup to watch. You know I'll be watching every snap of this game being a Chiefs fan. There's no doubt I'm going to miss any minute of this. But also what I really want to watch is what Nick Foles does against this revamped Chiefs defense. Not only on the Chiefs side where I want to see the defense improve, I want to see what Nick Foles got. This is a team that has finally backed him financially, backed him with scheming, and backed him with trying to get players around him to make this guy a better player.
Well, we haven't seen the scheme yet. I want to see what they look like.
Well,
yeah. But I get what you're saying.
They're
all in on Nick Foles.
How do you sit there and have a head...
Because they didn't take any wide receivers, Drew.
No.
And guess what? They need wide receivers.
The scheme has nothing to do with the wide receivers.
Oh, I think it does.
The scheme has something to do where you play the game to your strengths of your quarterback.
And guess what? Your quarterback has thrown year in and year out to top-level receivers. What have they not tried to do? Bring in a top-level receiver. Instead, they let someone like Dante Moncrief walk, and they're like, don't worry, Nick. Day Westbrook is going to get the job done. Dede Westbrook is going to get the job done out there in Jacksonville. I wouldn't say they played to Nick Foles' strengths. I think they're still going to be a run-heavy team, regardless that they paid him all that money, and most of it being guaranteed. I don't think schematically they're like, we're all in on Nick Foles.
Scheme they were in with all
I don't think so. I think it's the reverse.
You don't pay that man that money.
I think it's the reverse. I think they do, and then they're like, well, we're still a rushing team because we have Leonard Fournette and a bunch of receivers that might be working at Foot Locker, if not for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I don't know. Maybe I'm overcritical here. But I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have a lot to work. They have a lot to figure out. If you're going to pay a quarterback that kind of money, you got to give him some options.
You just don't want to give a rival some credit, huh?
Well, is that what it is?
I don't know.
I don't think. Okay, so let me just pick Jacksonville here, right, over the Chiefs. No, it's not going to happen. The Chiefs are going to score a lot of points, even with Jacksonville's defense.
Right.
The question is, can the Jaguars keep up? And the answer to that is probably no.
We're going to stick with our offseason pick. We pick the Chiefs. You guys all know that I'll pick the Chiefs. Chiefs are going 16-0. If you guys didn't know it, you heard it here first.
They won't,
and
but that's okay.
No, they are. And you are also picking the
that's
Chiefs.
A beer
You're going to
bet.
stick with it.
All right. Rob's also going Chiefs here. I got the field against the Chiefs, just so we're clear.
What?
I get the field against the Chiefs. Somebody has to beat them. It doesn't matter who.
No, dude.
Well, put the beer where your mouth is, Drew. Come on,
okay,
man. All right. Yeah, exactly. Not talking anymore. Now, Nathan has
Chiefs
this
are going
as the
16-0.
upset
I don't know. I was parched.
Now, Nathan has this as the upset of the week, and he's taking Jacksonville. Again, I think Jacksonville's going to come out with something to prove, but there's no matching up with an offense like this. Not when your offense looks the way that Jacksonville looks right now. I'm with Ian. I think KC wins this one. Maybe 34-21, where they let the Jags creep in the second half. But I think he gets way out there, and then maybe the Jags kind of bring it a little bit tighter, like Andy Reid and his teams tend to allow to happen.
That's ridiculous.
And you know what's going to happen, too.
All right, next game, we got the Indianapolis Colts going on.
Dave said you had too much to drink, and
David,
I agree.
that's none of your business. And yes. All right, next game we got the Indianapolis Colts without Andrew Luck are going to the LA Chargers.
You just summed it up right there. No Andrew Luck.
This is Jacoby Brissett's team.
No, it's not. Now it is.
It
but
is,
no,
but
it's
they
not.
just paid this guy.
Yeah. Okay.
They just paid this guy. It's his team.
Yeah.
It's his team this year.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, Melvin Gordon, how much of his will it show of his absence?
Less, because Andrew Luck is gone. If the Colts were scoring left and right on this Chargers defense, I'd say, man, it would really be nice to have a guy who can slow the pace down, Melvin Gordon, who can run with some power and keep the Colts on the sideline, and you can just let your defense rest up a little bit and make those kind of couple plays it's going to take. The Colts are not that same team without Andrew Luck. They're going to come up short in this one, going up against a Chargers team who still think they're a Super Bowl favorite. the question is, do the Chargers play down to the competition like we've seen happen in the past? I'm still going to go Chargers here. I think it might be closer than people think, and everyone's going to say, look, Jacoby Brissett's not that bad. I think it's more going to be a function of the Chargers don't know how to blow anybody out.
Well,
and I think the Chargers are going to keep
everyone
this close.
so far is going against you. Ian's saying this is the biggest blowout of the week, 55-10, and Nathan says LA by 21. So they're going against you, man.
What do the Rams have to do with it? No, I said Chargers.
LA Chargers.
I said Chargers. Oh, you say it's not going to be close, and that's how they're going against me. But we're all taking the Chargers here, right?
No, well, yeah, we're all taking
Everybody
the Chargers.
outside of Indianapolis is taking the Chargers here, and you have to. It's not a knock on the Colts, but anytime you lose a top 5 quarterback, you're not the favorite to beat a team that should be in the playoffs.
Right.
Regardless of what Jacoby Brissett looks like. If I'm a Colts fan, I want to see Jacoby Brissett keep this close so I have some hope for the weeks to come. But right now, you can't tell me that the Colts are a good enough roster to go pound for pound with this defense and with the receiving options that Phillip Rivers seems to be able to make use of.
This is Brissett's team, just to let you know.
Well, now it is. Exactly.
It has to be.
Now it is. Now it is.
to be.
But this was Andrew Luck's team that Jacoby Brissett just happened to inherit. Nobody was like, let's get rid of Andrew Luck and give it to Jacoby Brissett. Nobody. And if you were, turn your TV off.
Brissett's parents.
Brissett's parent. Okay, if you're not related to him, turn your TV off because this is all about Andrew Luck and the recovery. Maybe the Colts rally a little bit and say we're still a good team and we still believe in the guys we have here. I got to go Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to take it easy on them. It's going to stay close, but I'm going to say it's like 28-24, and the Chargers score at the end of the game, and everyone's like, whoa, scare tactics by the Colts. But I think it's more of a function of the Chargers don't know how to blow anybody out.
I see what you did there, Ian. He said Colts are deflated after Luck retired. All right, let's move on to the next game. Cincinnati Bengals going on the road to Seattle Seahawks. This is your blowout. This is where I think you're going to have a blowout. The only matchup that you can literally sit there and say, watch this, is the 12th man versus the offensive line.
Yeah, but not in the way you want to see it.
The offensive line play calling for the Bengals, because it's going to be very difficult for them to be calling out blocking schemes while the 12th man is getting super loud. This is a banged up offensive line for the Bengals and a young offensive line for the Bengals. So not do they only not have experience on their side, they're also injured as well. I think Jadeveon Clowney, as much as he plays, I don't know, I assume he plays quite a bit, he's going to have a feast of a day on his side statistically. I'm not saying stats, but he's going to put a lot of pressure on Andy Dalton.
No, I think Ivy's got this one on lock, which says Seattle hands down. The only difference, Seattle has a little bit of mercy and will run the clock out because they're such a running team against a team like Cincinnati. I bet you the Bengals score here. So I don't really love Ian's pick of 37-10 going Seattle. I think the Bengals score a little bit.
That's scoring.
Not enough. I think they're going to score more than people think. I think the Bengals are going to put up 20 or maybe even 30 points. I think the Bengals offense is still somewhat decent. I get it, the offensive line sucks, but they got a running back that can make something happen in, what's his name? Because I can't think of it right
Andy
now.
Dalton?
Not a running back.
Boyd?
No, running
Joe
back.
Mixon?
Joe Mixon, yes. I think Joe Mixon is a good talent. Maybe he slows the game down a little bit. But I will say this.
Rob. What? No, man.
Rob's got the Bengals. I will say this,
man.
though.
He must be a Bengals fan.
They score a lot. The defense is going to be atrocious. The offensive line might be atrocious. Andy Dalton is going to take a lot of hits. We don't want to see that. In this game, I think we're going to see the Bengals score some points. And I think they're going to be able to throw a little bit. Andy Dalton looked really, really good last year until he got hurt. The problem is going to be here, the Seahawks can run so effectively against a defense that has nothing out there that can stop them. No linebackers. They missed on both of the Devons this year, too, on top of it. They just have, I mean, the first-round pick is gone. They have Andre Smith starting at tackle this week. Things are going to get rough for Cincinnati here, but I think they score some points. I think Andy Dalton's going to be able to distribute a little bit, and maybe this is like 38-20, but I think the Bengals at least get on the board a couple times. They get in the end zone a couple times.
David's with you. He says Dalton will throw TDs.
Precisely.
I don't know.
I knew David knew what he was talking about. I had a sense about it.
You just before the show, you literally was saying David doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. That was precisely what I said. Now, Austin says Seattle plays to their opponents. And mind you, this is a Seattle fan here. He says he plays to their opponent's level. Last year, they beat Kansas City and kept up with the Rams and then barely get by against low-level teams. They do play down to their competition a little bit, but I don't think the Bengals, it's fair to say they're playing down to, because the Bengals score. The Bengals know how to put the ball in the end zone at this point. They just need to learn how to protect Andy Dalton, keep him healthy for 16 games, and then play like a little bit of defense. And we're talking about this team being okay.
I think you're going to struggle keeping Andy upright, but let's move. Let's go on. We both said the Seahawks. We said the Seahawks.
But Rob likes the underdogs, and I'm with you. They are definitely the underdogs.
We picked the Seahawks during the offseason. We were going to stick the Seahawks across the board. The next game, the New York Giants at Dallas against the Cowboys.
Just like I said in Cincinnati, the Giants are going to have no defense. Zeke is going to be there. A lot of weeks, a lot of other teams, I'd say Zeke coming back, having spent all that time in Cabo, probably not working out as hard as he would be working out with the Cowboys. I'd say look out for that, but it's the Giants, man, who just traded away or lost to free agency pretty much every good defender on this defense. It's going to get ugly on that defense for the Giants, I think. Unless they have somebody step up that nobody can see, I think the Giants are going to be absolutely demolished in the running game here.
My two things that I put down is Zeke is ready to roll. I mean, this guy is a workout freak. He knows this offense. I don't care how much time he's.
You don't care if it was Cabo. He's working out in the beach. He's like doing all the sand drills.
Yeah, he was
potentially.
I guarantee it.
I think
I guarantee it was. And then my biggest. Ian's going with the upset. My biggest question is how long is the leash that they give Eli Manning? I think that's the most biggest question here because everyone's all on the hype train about what Daniel Jones did during the preseason. How long is Eli Manning's leash? Well, let's just put this game. Let's say in the first quarter, 21-0. In the half, 28-0. Do you see Daniel Jones at week 1?
No, because I think the Giants are an incredibly conservative organization. I think Dave Gettleman is an incredibly conservative GM. I just think it's going to be too early for them to give up on a 2-time Super Bowl winner for a franchise, even though it shouldn't be. You should be playing aggressive, right? You should be saying Eli hasn't had it for 3 or 4 years and it's costing this team. I think we're almost looking at the Kobe goodbye tour where you're going to hang on longer than you need to because of what he's done for the team in the past. And I think we're going to see that with Eli Manning. I think he's going to make it to 4, 5, 6 before we start to even see them contemplate putting a guy like Daniel Jones in there. They also want to protect the rookie. They've built the offensive line up a little bit, but they know he's going to have to come behind and be in some bad situations where he has to throw a lot, and defenses are going to know that. I don't necessarily fault them for not playing him early. It's okay to beat up on Eli a little bit because Eli isn't going anywhere. Eli's not getting any better. I think we're going to see more Eli Manning than anything. He's not going anywhere. I will give Jeremy this. He made a great point by saying Zeke was with Marshall Faulk in Cabo working out, but it's Cabo, man. It's one of the best tourist spots in Mexico. Are you working out as hard as you would be with a bunch of steroided up coaches screaming at you day in and day out with the Cowboys? I'm going to say there's some kind of loss in between there. We're not going to see the same Zeke, and maybe it takes a couple weeks for him to get back into that total NFL football shape. I'm hoping not. I got him in fantasy. But I still think the Cowboys win it. I don't think you need to have a top of the line running back to beat a Giants team that looks like this. This could be Pollard, and I'd say Pollard's going to absolutely just run over everybody.
So during the offseason, we picked the Cowboys, and I think we're both sticking with the Cowboys going into week 1. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready. Okay.
No, I'm ready.
The Detroit Lions.
I was laughing at Nathan saying go easy on Kobe. I'm sorry. I think Kobe's really worried about what I think about him and his 5 rings. But they did hang on to him too long. You can't tell me I'm wrong.
Detroit Lions go on the road to the Arizona Cardinals. When I look at this game, you sit there and you think about Kingsbury and you think about Kyler Murray and how vanilla their offense was during the preseason, saying just wait until we debut our offense week 1. The air raid that you're going to see of the Arizona Cardinals, that to me is a question mark.
We're both waiting with bated breath.
Is it really going to be that amazing? Because they looked very bland. Very bland.
They did. I'm not going to chalk it up to that. I think they're going to come out with some creative stuff, but I think the Lions are going to be prepared for it. Longtime defensive coordinator Matt Patricia has been in and out of the NFL. You now have a first-time NFL coach in Cliff Kingsbury going up against a revamped defense that should, at least defensive line-wise, be much improved from last year. Trey Flowers coming in. They have Snacks Harrison sticking around. They have Mike Daniels. This is going to be a scary defensive front. They're going to chew apart an offensive line that's let's face it, might be one of the worst ones in football right now. Bottom 5 with the Arizona Cardinals, and they did very little to address it. I think the Cardinals are going to have a tough time against this defense the Lions put up. The Lions just have to be somewhat decent, and you don't have to be a world beater to beat this Cardinals defense, despite Terrell Suggs coming in there, despite Chandler Jones being an absolute beast. They now are short Robert Alford and Patrick Peterson, both to injury and suspension. They're not going to have the corners to keep up with Matt Stafford. They're not going to have the defensive tackles to keep up with Kerryon Johnson. I got to go Lions here, man. I think all signs point to the Lions week 1. They're not 12-4 like Ian's picking them to be, but they're going to win week 1 against the Cardinals.
Ivy, Ian, Rob,
Rob's all in on
David,
the Lions too. Say they can make the playoffs.
All 4 of them are going to sit there and say that the Lions win week 1. We picked the Cardinals during this offseason. We did. We sat there and believed all the hype.
Ivy's got the Lions too.
I said that. We all
well, more credit to you, Ivy.
we all believe the hype train that the Cardinals and Kingsbury could come up with a great offense and maybe turn this team around a little bit offensively. And we wanted to see a little bit of that during the preseason. We did not see anything like that kind of gets us remotely excited about this offense. If you're a Cardinals fan, I hope week 1 can prove us wrong. But right now, we're both changing our minds, and we're going with Detroit Lions for the week 1 win.
And Joey's saying the Cowboys are going to run away with the East in quotations. I like it a lot more than now that Zeke's back. I think the Eagles are going to be really, really tough competition. I think it's a 2-horse race, especially with Washington and the Giants looking the way they are. But week 1, you got to go with the Cowboys in the way they run. Yeah. When we're talking about the Lions here, they're going to run the rock against a team that hasn't done a lot besides signing Jordan Hicks, who I like as a linebacker, to do much to defend against the run. I think defensive tackle-wise, they might have a bottom 5 set in the league. They got some good pass rushers, even though one's 37 and Terrell Suggs, I'm guesstimating on that age. He feels like he's 37. And Chandler Jones is a monster. But by itself, we don't see defensive ends be enough to stop teams that want to run the ball. Detroit seems like a team that wants to run the ball. That's why I'm taking them this week.
All right, our last game that we're going to talk about this evening is the San Francisco 49ers going on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is my game that I sit there and say that people are sleeping on the 49ers. I believe that this team offensively could put up a lot of points because of Kyle Shanahan and my belief in Jimmy Garoppolo. I get it, guy's been banged up, can't stay healthy, but week 1, he's healthy. And one thing also, the Buccaneers defense is atrocious. There is no one on there that sits there and gets, okay, I'm a little nervous about it. I don't care about their rookie. I don't care about last year's rookie finally getting healthy and being ready to play week 1. None of that stuff matters to me until I sit there and see it on the board. We've seen Jimmy G do well. We've seen Kyle Shanahan do well. And we believe that 49ers defense with Nick Bosa now added to it and every other addition they put on that defensive line with D Ford and all those first-round picks.
I'm loving these comments.
I mean,
David's saying Bucks just because.
This team is going to beat this team. I think everyone is picking the Bucks, especially like on ESPN. That's where I've read it. But this 49ers team goes into Tampa and wins.
Joey, we missed you too, man. We're glad you're throwing them back. I would be, but we already killed all our beer because we've had 12 and a half setbacks on this episode. But we're glad you're here right now. We know you're a big-time Cowboys fan. Let me just tell you this. We're glad Zeke is back because the NFC East is so much more competitive when the Cowboys are in there. We like Cowboys-Eagles. I think those two teams are going to be potential playoff players. Even though we like the Redskins in years past, we're out on them this year. Same with the Giants. The East is going to be fun to watch, though. As for these comments and everyone's saying it's all going to be 49ers, whether it's George Kittle or whether it's the Bucks just because, this is going to be a tough game to call, week 1, right?
I don't think so.
I kicked it to you because I had to cough. I will say this. I still think it's tough to call, but I'm all in on this defensive front for the 49ers. They have spent more than maybe anybody in the NFL on these guys, bringing in D Ford and paying him all that money. Drafting a guy like Nick Bosa in the, I almost said Joey, in the first round, pick number 2. They have spent so much. DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas. They have thrown so much at this defensive line. Eventually, it's going to have to work out, especially against a team that's as weak in the offensive line as the Buccaneers are. There's going to be no rushing in this for Peyton Barber. Fade him if you know what's good for you. Put it all in on Jameis Winston having to throw the rock all over the block.
Oh, yeah.
I like this game to stay close because I think Jameis Winston's going to throw 4 touchdowns, but I like the 49ers to win because I think he throws 3 picks. And I think that the Buccaneers, despite the offense they can put up, aren't careful enough with the football and won't have the defense that are going to be able to slow down a running back like Tevin Coleman, an offensive line that's not the worst in the world, and a quarterback like Jimmy G with a few weapons to throw to, and Kyle Shanahan's offense, I gotta lean 49ers here. Hey guys, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you did, make sure you subscribe to our page here and throw us a like if you don't mind.
Guys, remember this is Sports Around the Bar, so grab one of your favorite drinks, join one of the fastest growing communities on YouTube. We can't wait to hear from you.